What's good, everyone? Matt here from UK Nets Fans, and I'm joined by Aidan and Cammy Anderson for another episode of UK to UK, the British Brooklyn Nets podcast. Today is Sunday, the 17th of October, and today we're chatting about pre-season action against the Sixers in the Timberwolves. We make our 2021-22 season predictions and much, much more. Make sure you're following us on Twitter and Instagram at UK Nets Fans, the pod itself on Twitter at BK2UK Pod. Check us out on YouTube where you can watch all of our episodes. And with that out of the way, let's get into it. There was, Nets news. I think we're all kind of waiting for the new season to come up, and obviously pre-season's winded down, but we're going to get onto that. The Nets news this week has still been cycling around Kyrie Irving and him coming in or him not being there. The main news this week is Kyrie Irving has gone on Instagram Live to respond to the Nets' decision to bar him from joining the team until such a time that he's able to be a full-time participant. And the bullet points from that are basically he's not anti-vax. He said he supported people who did want to go and get vaxxed, which is cool. He also said that he didn't want to retire or give up basketball, and he's not going to go out like this. He was expecting an exemption, but we all know that didn't happen. He said this isn't nothing against the Nets. This isn't how he's going to go out, and he wants to be the voice for the voiceless. But for me, it's tough. It being Kyrie, it's tough to speculate. And I'm speaking purely for myself. I'm kind of getting tired of this already. And he's not part of the team, so until he is, I kind of want to move on from this story. So, lads, final thoughts on this? Like, what do you think? What do you think about the whole thing? And I think it's time to move on, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I'm in complete agreement with you. It has become a bit tiresome, and I think my kind of final comments on this until we either get the news that Kyrie's back part of the team, he's traded, or there's something a lot more definitive. I think it is certainly the best way forward, just to kind of park it where we are. But my kind of final thoughts, I'm going to repeat what I put in the UK Nets Fans Discord, which, if you're not already in, be sure to get in. Plenty great chatting there every night and for match days and what have you. But what I basically said in that, I'll just get my phone up now to repeat it, was if he's not anti-vax, why not just get it? In my eyes, he could still take the vax and use his platform to support the voiceless. Kyrie's essentially been placed on gardening leave because he's a superstar, yet I can't help but feel these voiceless people that he claims to be being the voice for, if you like, they'll not get that same kind of situation. They'll be sacked if they've got vaccine mandates at their job. They'll be sacked. They're not a basketball superstar earning tens of millions a year. So yeah, it just seems like nothing can really come from this. It's just such a bizarre and really kind of sad situation. You want to see him back playing basketball. You've also got to respect his reasonings as well. But it's just one of those that I think we're going to continue to have lots of questions for a long, long time.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, regarding that Instagram Live, it was one of those where we really didn't learn much at all. I saw someone write, Kyrie Irving, the master of saying so much without really saying much at all. And I think that was perfect way to describe this one. Some interesting comments for sure kind of came out. Obviously, you mentioned it there, Matt, about the fact that there seemed to be Kyrie seemed to think there was some sort of agreement where with the league that he'd be able to play without being vaxxed. Again, there just seems to be a major communication issue between Kyrie's camp, the Nets, and the NBA in general. Why did he think that? Surely there was something said to think that, or there's just been a complete lack of communication overall. And I think as well, the Nets, obviously, there's been a few reporters that came out and said that they believed that Kyrie was going to be vaccinated come media day. I think Frank Isola came out and said in his podcast or his radio show, should I say, that the Nets even booked an appointment for him. So there must have been some sort of agreement there between the Nets and Kyrie to even book an appointment, because why would they if they didn't think Kyrie was going to attend? Yeah, I totally agree. I think we should just stop speaking about it now until there's a major development, because we could be doing the Kyrie Chronicles every single week, coming back with a tiny
new section of the
pod. It kind of feels like we're going back to when we were talking about James Harden on every pod, kind of waiting for a move to happen. And there's just really not that much of a point to do it until it comes back. I mean, Kyrie says he's not planning on retiring. He wants to get back in the court, which is a good sign. But until we know that Kyrie is going to play, or if we know that the Nets want to do something with Kyrie, there's really not much point, because it could be up, down every single week, and nothing's really going to change until something does. So yeah, I'm quite happy to talk about the on-court stuff, and from what KD, Harden, and Steve Nash were talking about in their pressers this week, they really don't want to talk about it. I mean, Steve Nash has shut it down completely. KD and Harden, when asked if they spoke to Kyrie, just went, no, not spoke to him. So they probably have, and they just don't want to talk about it. It just makes their lives easier. So yeah, I think we go by what they're doing and just carry on talking about on the court stuff.
Love that. Agreed. We'll keep it to Twitter anyway. You can always get at us if you want to chat about Kyrie, but in terms of sitting in here and talking about it on a pod, it's just not fun anymore. So let's keep it fun. Well, I say keep it fun. We've got that Philly game to talk about first when we're talking about pre-season. But yeah, so on Tuesday morning, UK time, 1 a.m., the Sixers beat the Nets 115 to 104. We're going to start with the good stuff first. And I believe, Aidan, we're going to chat about the big two.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned it last week. We were kind of calming ourselves down, hyping up things that were happening during these preseason games. And I think we can look at this one in the opposite way. We don't need to get too down over a loss to Philly in a preseason game that really doesn't mean anything at all. So I looked at the good, as you mentioned there. And I think KD and Harden, for me, was a really good indicator of the type of duo that they can be. I don't have the exact number, but we didn't actually see a load of minutes with them on the court last year together. Obviously, there was Kyrie's stretch where he was out, but obviously with time where Kevin Durant was out injured, and then we only really saw them again come the playoffs last year. So it was nice to see them have some really nice offensive minutes. And yeah, I'm really excited to see the type of duo that they can become this year with a lot more time. And I think they both look really sharp. I think they've lost a lot of their preseason rust that they had kind of early on. Some really nice stat lines overall. Kevin Durant had 23 points, 7 rebounds, shooting 66% from three and 69% from the field in general in 25 minutes. So really good there. And Harden was 21, 4 and 4, which I thought was quite an interesting stat line. He was 57% from the field and 42% shooting from three, which is a nice stat line, because obviously we've seen Harden recently kind of towards the end of the season being more of a facilitator, and I think it's easy to forget how dominant a scorer he actually is. And I think we're going to see that a lot this year, and I think this was one of these ones where, yeah, he took that step back three that we were so used to seeing over the years, and driving to the rim with ease and getting fouled. So I think it's been a really good preseason for Harden and KD to get these minutes together, because they're going to have to really step out. I'm the way to say KD needs to step up his game. He doesn't need to step up his game. He just needs to turn up and play. But Harden is going to have to step up his shooting and take more shots, because obviously Kyrie's not there. And there's going to be shots that need to be taken, and I'm sure that he can do it. So yeah, it was good to see these guys have a good game.
So I'm going to talk about Javon Carter now, and tell me I'm not just getting carried away by pre-season. I think we said it last week as well, that we can't get carried away. It means nothing, but have we underestimated Javon Carter? I think when we brought him in, none of us were all too familiar with him as a player, weren't really expecting much, and I think probably every Nets fan, not just ourselves, were expecting Patty Mills to be that kind of backup point guard. Obviously, whether that be to Harden or Kyrie or whatever the kind of situation was, Patty Mills kind of seemed like that next guy up, not Javon Carter yet. In pre-season, we've seen some interesting numbers from Carter. Okay, he wasn't great when he started against the Lakers and got 8 points, but off the bench, which is the role I can pretty much guarantee he'll be playing for most of the season, he's looked solid. 16 points in this contest, and he got 13 off the bench against the Bucks as well. So yeah, I think there's still some more to see from him. There's still, obviously, actual games to be played, whether this is just beginner's luck and because he's playing against the Lakers and Bucks and whatever Z teams, I don't know. But it's just one of those things that, as much as maybe the spotlight was on KD and Harden, Javon Carter's coming in sneakily done all right. And I think that's something that we have perhaps made quite a good knack of doing in recent seasons, just picking up someone who's maybe a little bit underrated, maybe maybe rated by their fans, but not really rated by the rest of the league. Case in point, Bruce Brown, he's probably the best example. Jeff Green was another who we all knew he was capable of, but I don't think we quite expected him to be the Dunkle Jeff that we grew to absolutely adore and love. So if Javon Carter can kind of carry on that lineage, if you like, I think we're all going to be delighted.
Yeah, for a guy that's primarily sort of here for his defense, getting 15 off the bench every night would be absolutely lovely. And, he was with a Suns team last year that went pretty far and did all right for himself. So he's got that deep playoff experience too, which is really, really good. I'm absolutely not going to sort of try and downplay your enthusiasm, Cammy. We are here to get excited about preseason, and we will overreact to absolutely everything. But similarly, I am going to be a bit doom and gloom just about, we went 3-1 in preseason, and just this one seems to be the outlier of how we almost just not really turning up or getting caught unaware, or perhaps it was the Sixers actually trying and us kind of going through the motions. But it was kind of turnover central. The Sixers were up by 29 at one point of this game, which was not great. The Nets, as ever, we shot efficiently, 50% from the field, 41% from free as a team. But I think it's the sloppiness that kind of lost us this one. 27 turnovers against the Sixers 17. That's, and they scored 25 points off those turnovers. So that's us conceding points when we strictly didn't need to. The Sixers had 20 steals as a team versus the Nets 10, which, as we just sort of pointed on with Javon Carter is here to play defense, and we've got all these other people that are here to play defense. It was kind of, for a team that's all about defense, getting seven steals against 20 is a bit annoying. But, it is only preseason, but it felt like the Sixers wanted this one, and the Nets were kind of still going through the motions. Sixers had 20 more points in the paint, which kind of suggests that they took advantage of our interior defense. I didn't actually watch this one. I just caught the highlights, but seeing Embiid had 14 points going 6 of 8 in 8 minutes was like, okay, great. This he doesn't need to do anything more. But I did put the big ones out there saying that Day'Ron Sharpe was going to be the Embiid stopper, but that was one of those takes that didn't age particularly well. But we'll see. There's plenty of time. Plenty of time. Just had someone pop up in the chat. P-Holmes9 on Twitch. Thanks for coming through, bro. Just chatting on Javon Carter. He's looked great. If Carter can consistently knock down threes, then he'll succeed. But also, he'll be trying his heart out to secure a place. Whereas Mills and the Stars are, just as you say, running through the motions. That's a real good point. So he's looking good in preseason because probably he's, he might have even been thinking, he's playing for a roster spot. We know that Devontae Caycock has gone to Long Island. We know that David Duke Jr. has tied up that second two-way now. So Javon Carter secured himself a full-time role in this team. And that's in no small part to how he performed in preseason. So yeah, real cool. But onto happier times, happier games. The fourth and final preseason game against the Timberwolves, Friday morning UK time, 12:30 a.m. Nets taking this one home, 107-101 against the Timberwolves. And I think there's only one place to start, isn't there, Cammy?
Yeah, I think there is, and that is Joey Buckets is back. I think, yes, once again, it's only pre-season and I'm maybe getting carried away, but for Joe, this is bound to give him massive, massive confidence. A team high 23 points, also 5 rebounds and 3 assists. For a guy who ultimately collapsed in the postseason when it mattered most and was heavily criticised, he himself will know that he had to do better. This is, even though it's pre-season, this is going to be massive for him. He was the kind of lights out Joe from free that we've kind of come to expect. 7 from 10 from free, which is 70% is mental. And the thing is, when Joe is kind of in his groove, found his groove, he could do that most nights, and that's a scary, scary thought to have. And I think last week we had a few listener questions about whether there was space in this team for Joe Harris, and in the game against the Sixers, he really didn't perform well. I don't even think he had a handful of points to his name. Yet he managed to bounce back in this one, and obviously just as well, because we're back in action in a matter of days. So, yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting season for Joe Harris. I think it is one where he's really got to cement himself as that 3-point kind of marksman that we already know he is, but kind of on a consistent basis. That's something that's perhaps plagued Joe recently, is the consistency. You'll get the games where he doesn't miss a shot seemingly, and 5 or 6 games he just goes missing. And that's a popular topic of debate in the Discord, and I'm sure that will continue to be a debate in the Discord. Even when he's left the Nets, that will still be a topic on the Discord. But yeah, absolutely delighted to see our man Joey Buckets back at his best.
Yeah, I mean, I think Joe was playing like he was playing the Milwaukee Bucks on Tuesday night, and he knew that game was coming up. And I think he just looks ready to start, and I think he's ready to put all that behind us. So it was really good to see him come out and have such a good game. But in terms of this one, we were building it up last week as the dress rehearsal to the regular season, and Joe Harris was playing like it was a dress rehearsal. But I wanted to see how the rotations worked out, because we thought that Nash would maybe go for something a wee bit closer to what we're going to see at the start of the regular season. And we sort of did to an extent. It didn't help that obviously Blake Griffin and Johnson sat for this one. So I don't think we can take it as the exact rotation that we're going to run, but it does give some indications of how they're going to kind of split Kyrie's minutes. So we saw KD, James Harden and Joe Harris all floating around 30 minutes in this one, which I think is the highest they've had this pre-season. And that kind of shows that they're going to be taking up that 1 to 3 minutes. The majority of them, I think they'll kind of play 35 to 40 minutes most nights, the 3 of them. So, and then on the flip side for that, the guard minutes, we obviously saw Patty Mills and Javon Carter picking up those other minutes. So it looks like that they're going to be the guys that are going to pick up Kyrie's minutes and make up those, say, 35 to 40 minutes that would have been there by Kyrie initially. So I think that's 2 good guys that we've got that can come in and do a job at the guard. But it was interesting to see what they've done with the forwards in this one. So obviously Blake was sitting and so was Johnson, but they went with Millsap and Clax, which I found really interesting, because on paper, that's a nice front court pairing, and I think they done well together. So it was interesting to see they put those 2 guys together. I mean, there's been a lot of talk. I was listening this week to Jack Manuel, Nick and Matt Brooks' podcast that they done as their preseason primer, and they were talking a lot about Clax and how he fits into this team, and they couldn't see him cracking the starting 5 at any point this year, just with the sheer talent that we've got in front of him, with obviously Aldridge coming in, Paul Millsap coming in. And I think he was playing like he wants to be in that starting 5. And I think at some point he could potentially do that. So it was good to show when he does start that he is kind of putting in those good performances and putting an argument in there. So yeah, Millsap and Clax, and then Lamarcus Aldridge was picking up the rest of the minutes there. So obviously we should have Blake Griffin back, and I still fully expect that Harden, Brown, Harris, KD and Griffin will be our starting 5 going into the Bucks game. But it was nice to see some different options in that front court with Millsap and Clax, and it does give us some other ideas when we're playing maybe teams that have bigger front courts and kind of better guys. So yeah, no, it was nice to see a bit of a change in the starting 5.
Yeah, it's one of them we've said all kind of all through the run up to this season, and as we add more and more pieces, that we're just like a Swiss Army knife when it comes to the kind of stuff that we can roll out there. So yes, it's going to be really, really interesting to see. But I'm even more bullish on Nick Claxton than you are, Aidan. But I think he definitely put his hand up to crack that rotation. So he played 24 minutes, got the start at power forward, but he started the game like an absolute bull in a china shop. He ended the game with 11 points and 7 rebounds. But 4 of those rebounds were offensive rebounds, which was just really, really cool. We've struggled on the glass a lot as a Nets team for a long, long time. So it's good to see him getting amongst it. Also had a steal and a block. Within the first minute, Clack grabbed an offensive rebound off a Joe Harris rare miss from 3, and then he tipped the ball in for the Nets' first points. And then what I think was the next possession down, he grabs another offensive board and does it like a real strong 2-handed dunk. he did a couple of two sweet alley-oop finishes from James Harden. So their chemistry looks real good, which is exciting to see. I think that could blossom into what they were hoping to get with DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin being lob finishers. But I think it's going to be all clacks, which is cool. And what I loved with this, he mentioned in the post-game that he said, I feel like I'm one of the best defenders in the league, which is great to hear out of his mouth. And then he was talking some more about it. And you forget that I think when Clax was trying to break into the team, I think it was his first year. It was also the first year that KD signed with us. And he was still coming back from this Achilles injury. So where KD was training and coming back, Nick Claxton's been guarding him in training for 3 years. So he's going to get pretty good. Like, you got to go, metal sharpens metal, iron sharpens iron, steel sharpens steel. So you got to go against the best to be the best. And he's definitely getting that in training. So, and, KD has said that, it's good to see that kind of energy and that kind of level of confidence and that level of ability. But also he's in his third year now. So we kind of expect it from him. There's no more, he's just finding his feet in the league. He's, a new guy in. This is year 3. We've got a new slate of rookies that can have that kind of, those excuses, and they kind of don't really run for Clax anymore. But yeah, it was just really interesting to see that. And yeah, a really entertaining game. Shame we didn't see D'Lo on the floor against the Nets. I know we've got a couple of D'Lo fans in the house. So, but yeah, we'll wait till next time. But yeah, as I say, that was the last free preseason game. The real season kicks off Wednesday morning UK time, 12:30 a.m. So just the other side of midnight, away at the Fiserv Forum against the Milwaukee Bucks. Obviously, the last time the Nets played a competitive game, it was against the Bucks, and this time it's going to be ring night. They're going to raise a banner. So I think I was lucky enough to guest on the UK Bucks podcast, Don't Give a Buck, which run by Sean, nice guy, apart from being a Bucks fan. But I kind of said, like, they're in a no-lose situation when it comes to this game. We could batter them by 30 points, but they just won't care, I think, because, they'd have got their ring, the banner's up, they're feeling great. But I have got a bad feeling about this. I think they're going to be a hard team to beat with all this kind of stuff coming up. So I guess we'll wait until the pick'em section, but I just want to know what you guys think of that. What's to happen on this Bucks in this Bucks game?
Yeah, I mean, it's been, as we said earlier, it's been nice having the Nets kind of back for pre-season, but we've all been looking forward to the actual season start. I think since the moment that Kevin Durant's big toe was standing on that 3-point line and we lost that game, and we just wanted to get going again. Oh yeah, still in a lot of pain, but yeah, as you mentioned, we're in Milwaukee on championship ring night, and I think the Nets can spoil the party here. I think it's going to feel a bit like when I say a team's won the Premier League or something like that, and they're just going to take the foot off the gas a wee bit. I think they're still going to be in celebration mode. And I think we can go in there and do a job on them. But I do agree with you in the fact that I think it's going to be really highly anticipated. I think it's going to be really tense. I think there's still going to be some mistakes there as well coming off of pre-season. There's still going to be a bit of rust there. And when some players are maybe a bit sharper than others, there's usually kind of some mistakes early doors. So, I mean, going into it, you just have to think, it's like, what an opening night and what a time to kind of get a bit of redemption. It's going to be a big night for Kevin Durant, a big night for Joe Harris, and a big night for our new guys as well, to show that they can kind of bring the Nets up to the standard of winning the championship. So, yeah, I think the Nets will take this one, and it's going to be a fantastic game to open the league.
This is the game, and this is the time for us to get the revenge. As you've both already said, there's plenty of reasons to seek that revenge, and a win in this match really sets down a marker. Yes, it's game 1 of 82 in a season, but if you can beat the reigning champions and do so hopefully quite comfortably, I mean, that certainly says a lot about this team, which that there has been changes. There's been a few players in, few out, and compared to when we last faced them, when we had a lot of injuries, it's going to be an absolute cracker of a game. But I think this is a real game where we say, no, this is our goals. But at the same time, I think it's important that if we do get beat, it's not right, that's it. Season's done. Season's out the window. We can't beat the Bucks. It's one of those where, it's going to be really interesting. Don't look too much into the result of it, but of course, if we win, we're going to get completely carried away with it. We've got virtually a fully fit roster available to us, of course, except from Kyrie. So it'll be interesting to just see how that kind of works up against the Bucks. Sorry, the last time we played, James Harden was playing with one leg, if you can even say had enough of one leg. So yeah, it'll be interesting to unleash KD and a fully fit Harden on this Bucks team.
Yeah, either way, I'm looking forward to it. Annoyingly, it looks like Giannis is added to his bag over the offseason as well. He's looking annoyingly good, which Aidan, I know is good news for your fantasy team, but it might be bad news for this Nets team. But we're gonna be confident. Moving on, so that's Wednesday morning. Then we got to wait until Saturday morning UK time. So again, 12:30 a.m. start. We travel to Philly to face the Sixers. So both teams we've faced in preseason. Obviously, it's going to be completely different now. The season's here. That with the Ben Simmons stuff still looming, who knows if he's going to be in? Probably won't be in. But might be a welcome distraction for them. And we could go in there and give them the business. But as we said, with Joel Embiid looking good in those 8 minutes against a near full strength team, might not be. So, what do you guys think about the Philly game?
I mean, the lack of Ben Simmons certainly makes things considerably easier for us. But as you say, Matt, Joel Embiid torched us in his limited time, and it's been a theme of us going up against Joel Embiid for a good few seasons now. We just, for whatever reason, cannot seem to deal with him. The centres, we've put various different guys up against him, yet there's a reason he's probably the best centre, if not the second best in the league. He is a dominant force to be reckoned with. And Simmons isn't there, but they're still going to be a really tough team to beat. They've got Tobias Harris, who's obviously a cracking player. Seth Curry can also sink shots, no bother. So it's one of those, again, like the Bucks one, where I think if we can get a result, it's going to be massive. And you'd fancy the Sixers, Simmons or no Simmons, to still probably be there or thereabouts thanks to Embiid. So if we can get off to a strong start and beat the two teams that we're likely to be competing for that first seed with, then if the result over the Bucks didn't set down a marker, the result over both of them certainly would. And I don't think you could ask for a much better start if we managed to beat the pair of them. So fingers crossed that is the case, and we're cheering on two victories come Sunday.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I do think the Nets will take this one as well. Obviously, starting two away games at two kind of tough stadiums to go into is a tough first week. But again, I wouldn't look too deep into the preseason game against the Sixers as a marker for this one. I think it's going to be completely different. I mean, I did see, I think it was a couple hours before we came live, actually, that the Ben Simmons did train with the Sixers this morning. So it would be very far-fetched for him to turn it around and be able to play on Friday night. But that would be a great storyline if they managed to get him in there and he does play. I think I'd be quite happy if he played, actually, if he's only came off a couple of training sessions going in. I can't see him being match fit going straight in. But I think Cammy's spot on. I think the question for both of these games is how did the Nets stop Giannis and how did the Nets stop Embiid? Because they caused us so much trouble last season, and going back even further, they've caused us trouble for years now. And I think obviously the Nets bringing in Millsap, bringing Lamarcus Aldridge back in, bringing Johnston in to add to Clarkson and Griffin, it'll be interesting to see what Nash decides to do. And I think there will be times that they do maybe go kind of matchup, what should I say? They go by the matchup basically. So, and obviously we've seen kind of Millsap and Johnson have great stats against Giannis over the years, and I can see them potentially running some big bodies like Johnson or Millsap against Embiid as well, just because that's how you play Embiid. You have to be really physical with him to get anything off him, really. So yeah, I mean, I can see us going in and winning this one, as Cammy says, Ben Simmons or not, and it would be so good for the Nets to get those first two under their belt early on. It kind of puts a marker down early doors that we can do the business and we're back and we're ready to win the whole thing. But I mean, I forgot to mention for the Bucks one, but the good news is, and this is just the best news ever, is that we never need to see Giannis hit an open three over DeAndre Jordan again. Because I think that might have aged me about 15 years last year, seeing that every single time. So, yeah, that's just, it's made, I only thought of that today, and it's made my week, honestly.
Nice. Yeah, I could go a long time without seeing DeAndre Jordan play basketball again. But, you know, that's in the past, as you say. I think I was going to raise this talking about the Timberwolves game, but just seeing Paul Millsap and his quick hands, like he's getting up there in age, he's 36, but like he's still really good at defense. So hopefully he's obviously one of the bigger guys along with him and Lamarcus Aldridge, and neither of them are rim protectors really, but just seeing Millsap's quick hands, I think will hopefully just frustrate Embiid, and he won't be able to kind of, obviously he's a really good player and he's highly skilled as well. He's got good hands, but like just being able to just annoy him and stuff like that and use his IQ, I think could be really good. And obviously we didn't say Blake. Blake did really, really well in defense, obviously being one of our bigger players last year. And I'm with you guys. I think we take this one. I think we're gonna sort of take it a bit personally that they did beat us in the preseason, even though it is the preseason. I know anyone that watched The Last Dance knows that you got to find a way to get yourself motivated. So I think they're going to take that. But yeah, I think we're going to take this one as well. Ben Simmons notwithstanding, I think we're really, really going to go out there and get it done, which is cool. Which brings us to the BK2UK Pick'em. So we're in week 2 of the BK2UK Pick'em. Last week we all picked the same stuff, so we're all at 1 point each. We all thought we'd sweep it, but that Sixers game kind of pissed on that bonfire. So I'm gonna say we go 1-1 this week. I'm gonna say we're gonna lose against the Bucks, but we're gonna win against the Sixers. What do you guys think?
I'll say the same as you, Matt, but switch the losses around.
Okay.
Why, I don't know. I'm just to be different.
Just feel it in your guts.
I'll go more positive than you guys and say we're going to go 2-0.
Nice. I like that.
We're going to have a nice time.
Very, very nice. So by the end of this, this is where it starts. You're going to get a leader, and someone's going to start pulling away once we all pick different stuff. We'll see. You know, hopefully hopefully Aidan's right. Hopefully Cammy and I are wrong, but time will tell. So the title of this pod is going to be the big preseason prediction pod. So this is the bit before every season where we're going to kind of say just where we're going to put our marker down, and we're going to see what we're going to do. So we're going to go through what we think the Nets' record's going to be, where we're going to finish in the standings, a team MVP, a best addition, the most improved player. We're going to have a punch at KD and Harden's stat line for the season. And we're going to give out a returning segment from last season. We're going to go for a oddly specific prediction. So let's rattle through this. Start with the record. I'm going to go first and say I think, last season's record win percentage was 0.667. So basically we won 2 out of every 3 games, which is very, very good. If you translate that out to an 82-game season, that lands us on 54 wins. But what I'm going to do is, because I'm a bit of a neat freak, and to satisfy my OCD, I'm going to round that up to 55 and 27 for our record. 52 wins is the best ever win total that the Nets have had since the NBA-ABA merger. So anything more than 52 is the winningest season ever. So lads, over or under 55?
Over 56. We're going 56 and 26.
Nice.
I'm going to go 60 and 22, and that's without Kyrie. If it was with Kyrie, I'd say 62 and 20, but because no Kyrie, usually wins us a couple of games a season, I'll say 60 and 22.
Love that. Obviously, I need to check myself, man. I'm being a pessimist today. With the, think we're going to lose a couple of games, thinking we're only going to win 55. I need to buck my ideas up. So nice. Okay, cool. I'm gonna note these down as well, just so we got them. So I've said 55. Cammy says 52, 56, and Aidan says 60. Love that. I think what we're going to do is we're going to put this on the socials as well, just to see where everyone else's head is at. So season standings. I don't think there's going to be as much difference with this particular one between us. I see the Nets finishing second, just because of rest and all this kind of stuff. The Bucks, I think, are going to go first. Historically, a very good regular season team. So I say the Nets are going to finish second.
Sorry, on you go, Cammy.
First seed, provided we stay healthy and Kyrie returns, failing that second.
Ooh, hedging your bets.
Yes.
I'm going to say the Nets are going to finish first. The Bucks are going to finish second, and then Miami is going to pick Philly this year. I think they'll come third.
Ooh.
Yeah, Nets are first, and the reason I think so is I think the Bucks, after winning last year, will keep their powder dry a lot more in the regular season because they know they can get all the way in the postseason. I think you'll see Giannis maybe resting a bit more this year as well. So yeah, I think the Nets are going to go all for it, and I think they'll win the East this year.
Love that. Okay, cool. So Matt second, Cammy first if healthy, and Kyrie if not second. I love that you've put so many caveats on. And Aidan Nets first, Bucks second, Miami third. I love that. Team MVP. I've gone for the engine room, James Harden. His game high in points last year was 44, which if you look historically about some of the numbers he's put up against some people is pretty tame. So I think I expect him to drop a 50-pointer at some stage of the year, but I still expect him to be facilitating and dishing and cutting people up. So I've gone James Harden. What's everyone else saying?
I've gone James Harden as well. I mean, you can't look much further than the beard for this one. I think we said it a lot last year. Like KD's obviously the most talented person on this team, but Harden's the most important, and I think it's even more so this year now that Kyrie's sitting out. So yeah, I think he'll be the team MVP, and if he's healthy, he'll put a strong case in for league MVP as well.
I'll make it a hat trick as well. James Harden for team MVP. As hard a decision as that is, Kevin Durant is obviously going to be phenomenal, hopefully. But yeah, as Aidan says, and I think he put it quite nicely, Harden is the most important. He's the one that keeps this team ticking. He's the one that can lead us to the championship. As much as KD is going to do that, we needed Harden to be that kind of extra piece. He's that final piece in the jigsaw that's going to help us. Absolutely,
yeah. I think we've waxed lyrical enough about James Harden, but I think with Kyrie out, it's like you say, it's just gonna elevate that to next level, and especially because Harden's so hungry for a championship as well. He's just going to play out of his skin, and I think he's probably going to be pissed off that he hurt his hamstring in the playoffs as well. So he's going to be back with a vengeance. Best addition. So just to let the listeners know a little peek behind the curtain, this was going to be the young MVP or the rookie of the year for the team. But I think there's probably only one that looks like there's only going to be one winner to that. But I'm gonna go last on this one. So whichever you guys wants to go first, I'm gonna go last on this one.
And you go.
Right, I'll go first. And I sang his praises earlier. I'm going to say Javon Carter. A few weeks ago, I would have probably said Paul Millsap, but yeah, all aboard the Javon Carter hype train. He's going to be the best addition to this team.
Nice. Yeah, I'll go for Paul Millsap then. Yeah, I think it's just he's came in, and it's important to have a guy who of his size, who's good defensively, solid power forward, who can hit a three. And if you look back to last year, what was our biggest loss from who we had last year? And it was Jeff Green, wasn't it? Obviously, Spence didn't play. And I think Paul Millsap will come in, fill in Jeff Green's minutes, and be even more than what Jeff Green could do. So, yeah, I think Millsap will have a really solid year.
Nice. I'm going to go random, and I'm going to say DeAndre Bembry, because I think he's got a little bit of, just those random, the lower down guys that everyone just loves kind of energy. but I think he's still going to be productive. He's almost like a mix between Bruce Brown and Blake Griffin, where he's just scrappy and all over the place. And he can throw down a dunk as well. I've seen a couple of like pumping, reverse, all kinds of stuff dunks. So I'm going to go that our favorite, maybe not by the numbers, maybe not by, anything measurable, but just by sheer vibes, I'm going to go with DeAndre Bembry as my best addition this season. This next one should be very interesting. Again, I'm going to go last on this one, just because I got a couple of people, so I'm going to change it up according to what you guys say. Most improved player.
I'll go first again, and I'm going to say Blake Griffin. That's not the guy I've got down on my notes. The person I've got on my notes was Clax, but then the more I thought about it, I think Griffin, we obviously seen him make a real kind of impact last year. That was obviously him coming off of all these injuries and Blake Griffin's done. Whereas now I think now he's settled in this team. He obviously came back when I'd imagine he probably had some pretty good offers out there based on what he showed for us. With him probably going to get a larger chunk of minutes as well. I think there's every chance that we can see Blake, certainly not at all-star level again, but maybe not too far off. Maybe that's me being a bit overexcited. But yeah, that's going to be my most improved player, Blake Griffin.
Nice. Yeah, I'm the exact same. I've got Blake down as well. I think he'll be extremely important this year, and I think he'll improve massively just purely because he's obviously, when he came in last year, he didn't have a pre-season with the Nets. He came in mid-season, and I don't think you can underestimate having a full off-season with your team. And I think he'll come in, and he's one of the guys now. You heard Steve Nash mentioning when they said, he spoke to KD and Harden about the Kyrie decision. He went, yeah, we spoke to Blake, we spoke to Joe, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. So they're speaking to these guys as well. So he's obviously well respected in that locker room. And I think on the court, defensively, he was sublime last year, much better defender than I ever thought. And I think offensively, he's still got a lot to his game that he didn't show last year. And I think we'll see a lot more of that this year.
Nice. So I was going to be a smart ass and say Lamarcus Aldridge because he only played 5 games or whatever it was for the Nets. But if I can't get away with that one, I'm going to say Bruce Brown as my most improved. Obviously, we've seen flashes of this 3-point shot. I think he seems like the kind of guy. I mean, this is only his third year in the league as well, so he's incredibly young, and he's still got a load to develop, and he's already really, really good. So I think he's going to take another step. He's going to probably average 2 threes a game on this team, and I think him spacing the floor a little bit. He's going to be one more year of working in this Nets defensive system, growing in confidence. So I think our most improved is you're going to see a step up from Bruce, and I don't think you're going to be able to get him out of that starting lineup, which is going to be really, really interesting. So yeah, give me Bruce Brown. But shout out to Nick Claxton as well, because I think he's due a leap as well, which should be really good. This was a tricky one. I want you to try and guess KD and Harden's stat lines. So I'm not sure who wants to go first on that one.
I'll take this one first and embarrass myself first. So for KD's stat line, I have 27 points, 7 assists, and 7 rebounds written down. And for Harden, I've got 24 points, 10 assists, and 8 rebounds.
Nice. I don't think that's too crazy. Aidan,
there's no reason behind it. I'm glad you never asked why I picked those numbers. But that's what you've got.
It is just a guess, really, isn't it? Because you never know. But I've got quite similar. I've got KD to have 30 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. The reason for 30 points is because he was averaging 30 points, like he was getting 30 points a game until he got injured. So I think he'll come back, and I think especially with Kyrie out now, he's going to be taking even more shots. So surely there's going to be a rise there. And I think I've given him a couple less rebounds than he had last year, just because he's got bigger teammates now and he's not going to have to rebound the ball as much. And yeah, 5 assists just because he's going to have the ball in his hands because he's Kevin Durant. So, and then James Harden, 24, 11, and 9. shouldn't be far off averaging a triple-double, but I think, again, with bigger bodies, he's not going to be rebounding the ball as much. And yeah, I think that 24 could go higher again with Kyrie being out. So yeah, 24, 11 and 9. And I wasn't sure if you wanted me to go into turnovers and blocks and stuff like that. So I've done that too. No, I'm only joking. So,
minutes, plus minus, all this kind of stuff. Nice. Now I think that all sounds pretty close to what I got. So for KD, I've got 28 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, which is kind of in and about what you guys think. I think it's about the same points as last season. I think we're going to be sharing the ball a bit more. I think but then again, I don't know, because he's not going to be asked to do as much defensively. He might put a bit more, get him a bit more output on the offensive end. So I've just kept it the same. 8 rebounds, like I've said, 7 assists, and yeah, just being absolutely mint. Harden, I've gone lower. I've gone 21 points, but I've gone 12 assists that he's going to average, because he's just going to be licking it out all over the place, and there's going to be people just splashing threes all over the place. I think it feels like we got a better kind of raft of shooters this season, so you're going to be having no more chucking it out to TLC in the corner. Instead, you're chucking it out to Patty Mills, which is a better position to be in. So he's going to absolutely make it rain. And 8 rebounds, just because he's going to get his rebounds, because he does like to. I feel like he likes to chase a triple double, but I'm not going to be mad about that. And then final one, oddly specific prediction. I want to get this one out of the way first, because it's something I've said before on this podcast, but I've just kind of doubled down on it. I think Cam Thomas is going to have 2 25-plus point games off the bench, and he's going to make the all-rookie team. I'm putting it out there. I'm incredibly confident in that specific prediction.
See, I'm not too far off with you for Cam Thomas, but I'm saying he's going to have 4 25-plus point games. No, off the bench, he's just having 4, because I'm saying these games, if we're going to be really, really specific and get down to the nitty-gritty, these games are going to happen when KD or Harden or both are resting, and he's just going to kind of drop them, like that kind of famous Karras game against Boston where it was 50 dropped or something like that. So it'll be kind of like that. So yeah, 4+ 25-point games for Cam Thomas.
No, sorry, Aidan, just to butt in, we did get a question on that from P Holmes 9 on Twitch. Thank you very much for that, bud. He said, "Do you think Cam Thomas could ascend to a starter if his current form carries forward into the regular season? And who do you think he replaces in that lineup?" It's a tricky one. I don't think he's going to kick anyone out. He's not going to play so well he's going to kick anyone out of that team. But I think, exactly like you say, Cammy, if there's resting and if there's load management and you got to slot in Killer Cam, then he's going to get buckets.
I think you guys are going to be really, really sad, but I can see him getting so many DMPs this year, and it's going to kill me as well. But I just think that this year is going to be one of those ones where they're going to just let him learn his craft just with the guys that are around him, and I think he'll come into the team more next year. But yeah, I would love to see him come off the bench and do that. But no, I don't make it fair
for the rest of the league. That's why I get where you're coming from.
But yeah, to answer your question, I don't think send to a starter, just because there's other guys in the team that would be starting in other teams in the league, but we're just so deep. So, but yeah, I'll move on to my oddly specific prediction away from the Cam Thomas show and go to Lamarcus Aldridge, who I have said is going to be the 3rd most pivotal piece in the Nets winning the championship this year. So I think it's going to go KD, Harden, Lamarcus Aldridge. And I think if Lamarcus Aldridge was on this team last year, his shooting size and savviness in the arc would have been the difference maker in last year's playoffs against the Bucks, because we needed a big guy in there that could make shots. And I think he'll be on the bench to start with, but I think Aldridge could start in this team as well. And I just think that we're underestimating Aldridge for what he is right now. I think obviously he had to leave due to health conditions. He's almost been treated as just he's the old vet. He's kind of the old guy that will come in and just make his shots. But I think he's going to be really, really important. And you have to remember, he's chasing his first ring just as much as James Harden. So he really, really wants it. So yeah, I think he's going to be the 3rd option this year in the playoffs.
Love that. Sneaky LMA coming in and reminding you who he is, because he did look great in last season, didn't he, in those few games? So yeah, add that fire of coming back and, unfinished business and all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, dope. Love all those predictions. That's kind of what we got. I would love to know everyone else's predictions for how we're going to do this year. If you think we're going to make it all the way, who do you think is going to stand out? Who do you think is going to take that next step? Let us know on social. You know where to get us. But that's it. That's about all we have time for today. So thank you as ever to Aidan and Cammy. And thank you for you guys for listening and for watching along real time on YouTube and Twitch and Twitter. If you like what we do, then the best way you can help us is to like, rate, and review the podcast. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Share the episode on social media. It does a great deal for us. Any help we can get to grow our audience over there would be much appreciated. You can also support us by treating yourself to some merch, which you'll find a link for in our Twitter bio. But that's it. That's the end of another episode. This time next, we're going to hear you next. We're going to have actual regular season basketball to talk about. And I cannot wait. So, thanks very much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Take it easy.